Hey everybody, this is Perch, and here's a topic that it's come up over the years, over and over and over again. It feels like it's very much connected to fandom and comics in particular. It feels like definitely you get this with any kind of fandom, and then comics is like a multiplier on top of that. So the issue is in this viewer mail, which we're going to read here in a second, and it's a really short and sweet mail, but there's a lot of depth and context behind this question. And here goes. It says, "Hey Perch, love the show. Thank you for everything you do." Well, a lot of people start out that same way. I don't do that much. I record in the car, I put it up, but I appreciate. I don't know about the thank you for everything. Always feels way more inflated than it really is. But anyway, I had a question on how much knowledge you should get about comics before engaging in a conversation. I frequently go into the comic shop, and when I try and talk about a particular character or a series or a creator, the people who work in the store often make fun of me for the lack of my information about things. But I'm trying to engage in the conversation to learn something. Should there be a barrier of what you, quote, need to know, unquote? I added the in quotes because that makes it fancy. That's the kind of show this is. It's a fancy show. Anyway, very knowledgeable. Before you can have these conversations. Otherwise, I feel just foolish constantly being made fun of for what I don't know. What do you think? All right, so a couple immediate thoughts. And the first one is go to a different comic shop. Look, I mean, no joke. If you go into a comic shop and you're asking questions, you're trying to just engage in comic conversation, and some guy's being a jackass about what you know and don't know, I mean, screw that. Sorry. No, I wouldn't put up with that. No, fuck no. I mean, that's just the rudest, obnoxious behavior. But as I mentioned, it's very inherent to comics. So for whatever reason, and the best way to put this is there are certainly pockets of the comic community or comic shops or comic people or comic YouTube or comic social media, wherever it happens to be, where people are out there trying to measure each other's dicks. That is just the whatever word you want to put in there, gayest, cringiest, however you want to describe it. It's stupid. And yet it is definitely part of comics. It's actually in this comic, back in issue 141, that was technically the first appearance of this colorist. You didn't know that? Because I don't even know what you're doing reading comics if you don't know that. Like, give me a break. That's always obnoxious behavior. It doesn't really matter how you want to, wrap it up. This isn't comics, and reading comics and enjoying comics is not about obscure trivia time. Just go and enjoy, just have a good time. And yet it is the common go-to insult. And I notice people doing it in the comments, certainly of this message board, the videos here, other videos, other, people who do streams like, well, I don't know if that person knows about the business. I don't. Yeah, okay. Just if you find yourself saying that, blank doesn't know enough about the business, piss off with that. Nobody cares, genius, what you think you know and what you don't think you know. Come in, have the conversation, say what you're going to say, and then move on. And this kind of it's territorial pissing match it always reveals a lot more about the person doing the pissing than the person who's intended to be the target. The comic business, such as it is, has a lot of different aspects to it, a lot of different ways that it's been run over the years. And, I don't trust the opinion of one single individual to tell me or tell anyone how everything is, including this show. I'm giving you my opinion, my observations. You can take it and you can do what you want with it. They're the observations and opinions of one. That's it. I'm not standing up here trying to call myself any kind of expert in the comic industry. I've been at it a long time. I've certainly seen a lot. I've dealt with a lot of history, and I can tell you my experiences of it. At the end of the day, you're not paying for this. Well, I mean, maybe you're paying for it by having to suffer through the terrible audio, but otherwise, you're not paying for any of this. It's just it's entertainment. That's all. But you see this with comics. You see this with manga. Like I said, you see it with a lot of fandom. This idea of you have to know a certain amount in order to be relevant to a conversation. You have to constantly be proving how much you understand, how much you know. And it's everywhere. I'm seeing more and more of it creep into manga, where, if you really want to, you don't really know manga. unless you know these 20 things. Have you read this obscure series? Do you know what this mangaka did in this particular region, this area with this? Like, and it's again, the people who engage in that are friendless losers who the only bit of superiority they're able to possibly obtain in their own pathetic, shallow lives is to attempt to play this geeked out version of Trivial Pursuit with obscure manga facts, which impress nobody, and it never has and never will. To me, I think the comic, being able to talk about comics, enjoy comics, to debate various things that are going on in comics, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be an expert in what you like. That's it. Now, if you go off spouting just kind of random nonsensical crap, then you're not going to get listened to. But frankly, it's nobody's job to try and prevent you from saying things. You can say whatever you want. It's your right to say something, just like it's everybody else's right to listen or not listen. I don't know. I get sensitive to this because running a shop for many, many, many years, there were certainly instances where either I hired people or you just get a handful of customers there hanging out, having a conversation. And certainly many times in the past, you get one customer there who is trying to set themselves up as the know-it-all, be-end-all of comic information. And you would watch their presence, their attitude, and just their behavior. Basically, they were repellent to people coming into your shop. They were annoying to listen to, annoying to be around. And the thing that you hope for in a comic shop, or when you're having these kinds of moments, you're hoping for a number of fans, a number of customers hanging out there, having a good time, relaxed, enjoying what they're doing, maybe recommending new comics to each other. As a selfish businessman, of course, I always want that. And what you don't want is somebody making other people feel bad by insulting their information or what they think they know or do or don't know. You don't want that. It's just it's douche behavior, and it's repellent to business. It's poison to creating an atmosphere where people are going to come in, relax, enjoy themselves, and spend money. And yeah, I mean, if I have a bias, and if it's not clear at this point in the whole video series, thousands of videos later, my bias is making money. That's it. So and this helps clear a lot of things up, by the way. Every now and then I've had creators come in and say, I don't agree with this point, or what do you mean by that? It's like, hey, look, there's lots of different ways to argue any particular point. My way of arguing a point is going to be to try and make money, because as a small business owner and as a consultant, as somebody who tries to make money, I do my best to make money. And by and large, that's worked out fairly well for me. So, that's where I'm coming from. I'm not going to pretend that, the goal of making money is always equivalent to quality. It certainly is not. The comics I've enjoyed the most in my life are certainly not the top selling ones. But as a store owner, you'd be insane not to, focus on the things that are going to bring a profit into your shop. That's how you stay in business. Just like if you're a publisher, you'd be insane not to focus on things that are going to bring money in as well, which is why there's plenty of insanity out there. But no, in general, back to the original question, no, there's not a barrier of knowledge. I guess be humble in the sense that if you don't know about something, don't go in like you're some kind of, expert. And don't, quite frankly, the people who do call themselves experts, and this really goes for a ton of other YouTubers who are like, he doesn't know about the business. He talks like he knows about the business. He doesn't know about it. Dude, whatever. I mean, don't listen then. But I've mentioned this before in videos. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's one of my favorite psychological principles, and you see it all over the place, particularly in comics. It's people who get a little bit of information. They believe, hey, I did the 2% of the work, and now I am a super expert in everything. And so I feel comfortable kind of not just running my mouth, but also insulting other people for not knowing as much as I know, when in reality, most of the people who have done that in their lives tend to know a hell of a lot less than the people who are just keeping quiet and enjoying themselves and relaxing. But go find a new store. I'm sorry, if you're going into a comic shop and you're having that experience, go to better places, find better friends. That sounds pretty callous, but I mean that seriously, I would not put up with that. And I think one of the dumber tricks in fandom in general is that it sometimes makes people feel like they have to put up with this kind of stuff. Well, if you want to enjoy comics, if you want to enjoy Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever the hell it is, if you want to enjoy this thing, then you're going to have to, basically be subservient to some master of information who is going to lord this crap over you. It's absolutely one of the worst parts of any fandom is this crap, and I have no tolerance of it. I never enjoy those people, and I hit it from both angles, both on a personal level. Those people are annoying, usually wrong as well, but definitely annoying. And from a businessman standpoint, it's just like the best word. It's repellent to business. It's like it's like spraying business off throughout your entire store. I mean, for that matter, to anything. I remember when Tom Brevoort used to do the Stump Tom at conventions, and he would kind of set him up as the be all end all, czar of all Marvel information, and nobody could do that. And he would do this at conventions. And I think the people at Marvel and Tom Brevoort thought it was cute when he was do that, but everyone I talked to, creators, editors, people in the business, people outside of the business, everyone would come up to me at a con and go, "That is the biggest douchebag activity there possibly is." Nobody liked it, other than a handful of kind of egomaniacs at Marvel and Tom himself, presumably. But everybody else viewed that as the obnoxious nonsense that it was. And I don't know. Anyway, at least we don't have that going on anymore. Thank you, COVID. No, yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for the question. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for listening.